Hello. I'm about to tell you about my day. Let's get started. It all started at around, I'd say, 6:30. When I woke up, I ended up using the restroom, getting some water, was greeted by my mom, who asked me if I could be available today to help out with some backyard household chores around the house, specifically around the backyard of the house. Of course, I said yes, but I was still very sleepy, so I said, "Hey, um, I'm gonna get up at 8. I want an hour and a half more of sleep, and also I want to take a shower because it's been a while since my last shower. And, what else? Oh, and I also want to do some laundry too." So she was like, "All right." So I went back to sleep for another hour and a half. When I got up, I was woken up by my mom, who said she had done something for me. And I was like, "What could this be? Let's find out." So I got up and I walked out, and to my surprise, there was waffles ready and waiting, made by my mom. I was so excited. She even fried up some bacon on a pan, too. 4 slices of bacon surrounding the waffle mound. I was so ready to dig in. She even put some honey butter on top, along with some Aunt Jemima's syrup. So it was very tasty. We hung out, discussed our plans for the day, about how we were going to work together to help clear the backyard. And after I was done eating, I said I was going to be taking my shower. So that's exactly what I did. Once I was done, I put on my deodorant. Old Man Spice deodorant, I think is what it's called, or Old Spice. Yeah. And also some moisture cream on my face, because my face's skin dries out really quick for some reason. I should probably get that checked on by a dermatologist. Anyways, when I was done, I got out, I got dressed, and I was putting on socks that were in my bag, but one of the socks had a hole. So I took it out and I tried another one, and that one had a hole too, and another, and another, and another. Till eventually I realized that there was just a whole lot of socks with holes that I had. It made me realize that, oh my goodness, I have never been more excited to get socks before in my whole life. But when should I get them? I mean, clearly I need to make a day about it, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Well, I don't need to make a day about it. I can choose to make a day about it if I really want to. But anywho, I eventually did find 2 socks that were not holy, and I put them on and put on my shoes and went out to assist my mom in the backyard. Now, what we did was we were working on moving some tables around and getting a curtain that we were planning on putting over the chairs. In fact, we wanted some sunshade made in this area. This is not the first time that my mom has decided on doing this idea. In fact, she's attempted it many times before. But this time, I suppose, perhaps maybe things will be different because there is a much bigger cloth that we have. So this will be better at covering more ground. The previous times we attempted doing this together, we got a triangular cloth that only covered a little bit of the top, and even so, when the sun went over, it only cast shade on areas where no one was sitting, rather than the areas that most people would be sitting. So it ended up being extremely inefficient and ineffective. But this time, this is a square covering that should help with covering everyone who decides to sit under the shade. So that's going to be really nice. Can't wait for that. But eventually, while we were working on spacing the hooks that the cloth with little hole rims that would be sliding into the hooks would go around it, we realized that church was starting up very soon. So we decided to get dressed, ready, and leave. Eventually, we arrived at church, and when we got there, we were greeted by the men who were standing outside the building doors, and then we sat near the front. I actually brought my planner book with me along the trip, so I could work on my schedule for tomorrow. One of the things that I'm going to try to implement is something called implementation intentions. You see, I feel like when I don't have an expectation for tomorrow, like a specific expectation, for example, you need to, at exactly 6:30 a.m., go and edit your video for a good hour at your desk in front of your computer. Like, when it gets that granular and specific, it leaves little room in my brain for interpretation and just allows me to focus on the work. But then, of course, there are many other unanswered questions in my mind about that whole situation. For example, when I tried editing our cat's funeral video and then exporting it, Adobe said the exporting process failed. And when the video popped out into my list of videos from Adobe Premiere Pro, only the first minute and 14 seconds were rendered, and the rest of the video was completely corrupted and would not play past the minute 14 second point. This has me worried that if I try working on any more future videos on my computer on Adobe Premiere Pro, I will not be able to get very far or put a lot of work towards something that will ultimately not be able to render properly. Another thing that I believe it could possibly be has something to do with maybe the file size of the video file, and also the fact that my computer's SSD space is pretty much almost completely taken up. It's like a 500 gigabyte space, and there's only 44 gigabytes of free storage left. And so I know that when you overstuff your storage space on any of your devices you work on, that performance ends up becoming more and more compromised because there's not enough data for the device to perform more optimally. So I have a feeling that that's going to be something I'm going to have to worry about in the very near future, and I am not looking forward to dealing with that at all. It's a super bummer. Very sad. Well, anywho, it's those unpredictable factors that make planning things out much more difficult because, you set a time, an intention, a location, an expectation, but then there's factors that feel like they're out of your control that you have no say in, and then when you're introduced to them, you were unprepared, and now you've got to deal with it, and by the time you're done dealing with it, you've ran out of time to do the thing you were originally intending to do, and then you have to do it at a later date, and your motivation feels like it's been completely thrown out. And I understand the rule of thumb is you never fail if you fail. You only fail if you stop trying. Because when you keep on trying and failing, you could either see it as proof that you are not good, or you could take it in as data, understand what worked, what did not work, and try something differently next time. Something that I need to adopt if I want to see proper change in my life. Because right now, I'm thinking about how I spent my entire year, and honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. I've basically just been stuck in the same life loop over and over again. Wake up, eat, drink, watch some silly YouTube videos, doom scroll, go to work, go home, eat, sleep, drink, watch dumb YouTube videos or whatever. It's taking a lot more than it's giving. And and that's not to say that there's not any YouTube videos I've seen that I've greatly appreciated or that I enjoyed or that I was grateful for, because there were a lot. But what I am saying is that I need to work more on myself. I need to be a creator of my own universe, of my own reality. I can't let other people spoon feed their reality to me on a silver plate. Otherwise, I won't be able to grow or learn or expand my own abilities and ideas and concepts of this life that I am in. So, this is one of the major reasons why I was working on my list this morning as the sermon was playing out. Now, as for the sermon itself, I remember it was the pastor talking about his past life experiences, about how he was like, ooh, as soon as I'm done graduating high school, I'm just going to be a truck driver, I'm going to be a teamster, I'm going to be invincible, I'm going to work that job, get paid the big bucks, driving food around, because like there's always going to be truck drivers who need to drive food around. And then I could retire at the age of my 50 and have a whole lot saved up and just enjoy the good life. Like that was his original goal. But then he said that God had a different plan for him, and that he ended up not being able to work out with the Teamster thing. I don't remember the exact story of why it didn't work out, but he said that he just was put on a different path that ultimately led him to becoming a pastor and spreading the word of the Lord and helping lost souls. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And I do agree with the fact that it was kind of a weird parallel to what I was doing at the time. I'm trying to make plans. I'm trying to do things to push myself in a more fruitful and engaging future. But then there are things that are completely out of my control, or things that I didn't foresee, or things that I end up getting worried about and bogged down by, or things that I need to do that I didn't need to do until I was told right at the moment, that end up making me feel out of whack and like I can't do what I want to set myself out to do. And it also doesn't help that life is just, with all the AI stuff that's happening right now, how unpredictable and extremely volatile life is currently. So it's creating this air of uncertainty. It's creating this air of unusuality, and it's just, I don't think it's just me. I think a lot of people in my generation may be feeling uncertain about what's going to happen in the very near future. Will we have super intelligence by the 2030s? Will there be a new Renaissance age by the 2030s where people decide to give up their iPhones and go back to things like smartphones, physical media, making stuff on their own, embracing the imperfections of humanity, and going away from the slick, cool robot stuff because it's too artificial and fake, and people want real, even if it means something that might be a little cringe or silly, and we might see the end of the ironic age and back to the age of just being yourself and being genuine, because people want soul in their in what they decide to take in from the world. They don't want to be spoon-fed slop or phoniness or fakeness or processedness. I like to think that, if my generation's the youngest, and if we really care about actually having authenticity and a real crack at just enjoying life on its terms without having a warped version of reality painted for us with all the phoniness going with AI, then I could foresee with mainly my generation perhaps an interesting renaissance of sorts. That would be incredible. Of course, a lot of these ideas were sparked by the medieval analysis video I watched yesterday, but I just thought that everything that guy mentioned in the video was extremely potent and really did affect me. And that just goes to show that even though, sure, we can experience YouTube videos that are just mindless slop that are sucking our time and brain cells away, there's an equal side of the coin where we can see things we've never experienced before that gives us a new perspective and idea of life and what it could mean for us, and makes us really appreciate what we have rather than what we want. So, yeah, that was just something I was thinking about. Man, I got carried away there. But anywho, ultimately, the sermon was about don't try to be too stringent with your plans or thinking that you've got things in the bag, because at the end of the day, God's got his plan for you, and you've just got to accept that and take it as it comes when the time comes. And, it may not be obvious at first, but when it presents itself, it's going to be like, oh, of course, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, after the sermon was done, I was really, I think I would classify myself as a introvert and not really much of an extrovert. I don't really like hanging around large crowds of people, like talking and socializing. I mean, the thing is, like, if it's like just a space where it's like one or two people and we both enjoy talking about similar subjects, that's when I can have a lot of energy and really get into what I want to talk about. But if it's an environment where there's just a bunch of different people with a bunch of different things they want to talk about that I may or may not be interested in, then I just feel so socially and mentally exhausted afterwards, and that can be quite exhausting and suck a lot of energy away, because I'm just, I don't really know what to say, I don't really know what to do, and I just feel kind of uncomfortable ultimately. But of course, me and my mom drove to church in my car. I asked my mom to drive because I didn't really feel like driving, so I was really appreciative of that. Also, she knew exactly where the church was. But on top of that, and I say that because the location of the church changed since last time I was there. Well, the time before that, but we only went there in the new location once before now. Anyways, but yeah, my mom was basically after the sermon was inviting a lot of the church members, people in their mid-50s, late 40s on up, inviting them to go to our house for a New Year's Eve celebration little party. And she was getting help from one of the church women, and was getting ideas for what we could possibly do. Maybe hang decorations up, get a projector with a nice big screen, have some worship songs playing, and just overall having a generally fun and worthwhile time together. So, she said she was going to be making fresh chili, and cornbread. And we want to make sure that the cornbread's going to be very moist. So that's going to be something on the agenda. Well, eventually, I picked up 2 donuts, and me and my mom drove off. We arrived at a nearby Home Depot, and my mom wanted to go because they were selling some lights there for a significantly reduced price, because they were Christmas lights that were no longer being sold at full price and were 75% discounted because Christmas was over. So if you're budget-minded and maybe you want to make sure you're ready for Christmas next year, buy some lights directly after Christmas at the Home Depot. Save you a lot of money in the long run. But anywho, she picked up some lights, she picked up some connectors, and then we drove back home. Now, when we got home, my mom wanted to take an electric heater out to the uh, back of our yard and try plugging it in so she could burn the dust off from the inside of the heater. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, this something about this doesn't seem right. Wait, wouldn't that be a fire hazard? Because like the dust would keep the electric currents from flowing in a way that would be smooth, and the heat would just start building up, and there'd be too much energy surrounding the sockets, causing like the connectors to surge and like fuse, and then causing like arcs to happen that would cause like a explosion or a fire to affect or come into existence. So I decided to ask Google AI as she was doing this, and it did indeed confirm that this was a serious fire hazard that was not to be messed with. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I do not want this to happen. This is bad. I explained everything to my mom. I showed her what I was reading. And so we both agreed that this was a bad idea, and that ultimately the best thing to do would be to simply throw out the electric heater. And we were luckily in the nick of time, because as she was plugging in and heating it up, I noticed the brand new plug she got that she decided to plug the heater into was actually starting to fuse to the plug-in. So when I saw that, yeah, I was like, this isn't good. I know this is not going to end well. So when she saw that too, we both agreed. Not only did we have to get rid of the electric heater, but also the brand new plug she got as well. So we did that, but we were going to take that out a little later. Now, after we were done with that, my mom thought it would be a great idea to get a decent projector for the backyard of our house to play some worship songs when people arrived for the New Year's party. So I thought to myself, okay, how about we find some decently performing printers? Like, I'll ask Google, it'll give me some options of high performing projectors. Did I say printers? I meant projectors. I don't know. Did I? I don't remember. Anyways, so we did a lot of research. It took a really long time. Ultimately, we found a printer that was on Amazon for $450, but luckily it was at a steep discount and was being sold for $269.99. Originally, we found another printer that was $400 and was being sold for $250. But we ultimately ended going with the one that was $50 more, or I guess $20 more, for the discounted version, because that one had 3,000 lumens, whereas the other one only had 800 lumens. So that was our deciding factor for this purchase, and we got it. I instantly looked up some reviews online, and there was really only one guy who like did a review of it. It was like a foreign like accent he had. It was really thick. It sounded kind of German, but I'm not 100% sure. And he said that it was a pretty impressive and bright speaker, and that did put my mind at ease. And then some people in the comment section also said that the projector had clearly visible visuals even in slightly bright settings. So yeah, and I think that's perfect for a New Year's Eve party where things are going to be dark and you need a big image to see things with. So pretty cool. Well, of course, my mom also found a projector stand to use the projector on, and so she ordered that. She got that, and she asked if I was interested in splitting it with her, the costs, and I agreed because I thought it would be a great little fun investment to have a decent projector in the backyard for not only, this New Year's Eve party, but potential, poolside movie nights in the summer, or just, movie nights in the yard altogether. It would be just a fun little thing to do. Well, we ended up making the purchase. I was looking at my bank statement to make sure that I had the necessary funds for it. I was a little worried about what my statement said because the number I read seemed a little lower than what I was expecting. But after doing some research, it turns out it was fine. It was just not properly being presented in a way that I was confident with. So, yeah, once I did a little bit more digging and added up the numbers and subtracted them from my amount, it made a lot of sense. So, yeah, that put my mind at ease. Afterwards, I helped my mom hook up the curtain that will be the sunroof to some hooks on both sides of the back of yard of the house, and we were trying to figure out where exactly we would put the other little holes that would connect. We have these little concrete stands that we're supposed to just screw wooden beams in and then place in the location, so that way we could hook them to the sunroof and it would cover people and keep them in the nice shade. And man, it's so interesting, the weather today. Throughout the middle of the day, if you were in direct sunlight, it was quite hot. But as the day went on and it became night, it became extremely cold. Really interesting. Moving on. My mom realized we needed some wooden screws. So we decided to take a trip to the nearest store. Of course, the Home Depot is the one we could find to get what we needed. And we spent some time in there. I decided to go on my phone, ask Grok, like, hey, what exactly do we need? Gave like the concrete with the wood beams and all that, and the stand and all the information. Said like exterior wood beams with like a coating over them to be protected during different weather seasons. So we did find a box eventually. My mom got that, purchased it. I said I was getting quite hungry and asked if she'd be interested if we go to Del Taco. So she agreed. We went to Del Taco. I got the Amera Mexi box. And I have to say, and she got a bean and cheese burrito. And we eventually arrived back home, where I suggested we watch a Papa Meat video together. So she agreed, and we decided to watch one. Although this time around, she didn't really watch the whole thing with me from beginning to end. Instead, she watched a little bit of it, then she went to talk to our family friend for a bit, and she did a few things here and there. So I was really the only person to watch it. This is a Papa Meat video about the horrors of Craigslist. And yeah, there were some freaky stories on there, from people being obsessed with other people's smell on buses, to a guy who conned like an old lady out of like her money and tried to take her out with and also sell her dog. He ended up getting 15 years in prison, which honestly doesn't feel like enough for what was essentially attempted a murder, which is awful. And yeah, there was just so many different stories. Like, it was a cavalcade of stories. Afterwards, I decided to, when I was done with my meal, which I really enjoyed, I like their fries there. They're really good. And the burger was quite good too. And I wasn't too crazy about the taco. I thought that one was a little too mushy. The bean burrito, normally I like those, but I think it's because I had the taco beforehand, which was kind of mushy with the meat and everything, that just the general mushiness overall kind of soured my ability to enjoy the meal. But anyways, I decided to watch some Binging with Babish, him reviewing YouTuber products, and as I was watching it and getting comfy under some blanket covers in the den, my mom was going through some of her Christmas goods she got, and she decided to give me some of the things she got for Christmas because she said she had a toothache and she felt like anytime she ate sweets, she couldn't enjoy them because it would emphasize her toothache. So she offered me her sweets, and I decided to agree to have them, and they were very good. I really enjoyed them. Anywho, my sister eventually arrived, and my mom and sister were kind of getting bored with the Babish content, so they asked if there was anything we could check out. We browsed different movies and videos in my recommended section until eventually we came across this movie called Weird Science, a movie that I had never seen before, but apparently my mom and my sister and our family friend already had. But since I hadn't seen it, I wanted to check it out to see what was up with it. And so I checked it out, and this was basically like an incel movie before incels were like had a name or were known or were a thing. Like, it's basically about two dudes who like can't get with ladies, so they decide to make a lady, and they even decide to give her the intelligence of a fifth grader, which, what the heck? And the way the it plays out, it's like it's like tries to be all sciencey, but at the same time it makes no sense, and it's just pure fantasy logic that is just absolutely goofy and silly. But overall, I think that this movie was kind of fun, but also kind of dumb. And I enjoyed seeing this story play out, and it was really creative. There was a lot of cool creative ideas and concepts that the team who made it really thought of and just really were able to express in it that I thought was pretty interesting. Like, I mean, just idea on top of idea. This movie was a lot of hats, and it was just constantly changing it up and doing new and interesting things as the film progressed. Like, can't really say that about a lot of movies, so kudos to them for that. Yeah, I'd say I enjoyed it. I think the thing I liked most was probably the song from Oingo Boingo. Really, really fun song. I can jam to that anytime. I even danced to the music at the end credits, like in front of my mom and sister, and they thought that was they thought I had the moves, so that was pretty cool. Okay, well, after that, my mom decided to go to bed. I need to use the restroom. Then I took my vitamins. I brushed my teeth. And then I decided to watch some YouTube. There was one YouTube video I watched where a guy decided to make a video about how to get cancer. And he used a cartoon goblin character as his way of communicating his ideas. Kind of reminds me of what I want to do with Brain Jam, with me trying to communicate how I teach myself art using a cartoon character as well. That should be interesting to see how that ultimately plays out. But anyways, oh, and there was one more thing I wanted to mention during our drive-through at the Del Taco. I decided to ask my mom if there was any image she wanted to generate using AI image generation, and she suggested a bunny with elephant ears. We tried using the Grok image generator, and it just couldn't figure it out. Instead, it gave the bunny like a trunk. Then we went to Gemini with its Nano Banana Pro model, and that was able to generate a cute little bunny with elephant ears, so I thought that was pretty funny. And then I used Grok's Imagine video generator to make it move, and that was pretty cool too. Um, so yeah, and that's pretty much it. I decided to take out my phone, turn on the record button, and go to town. So that's pretty much the day, and overall, I'd say it was a fairly productive day. A little stressful day with the whole not knowing if like my money situation would work out or not. But also a day of some self-reflection and growth, or attempted growth. So I think that's pretty good. Well, I'm gonna tune out for tonight. Gonna go to bed. See if I can go to bed before 12:30. Um, Take care, everybody, and have yourselves a good night. Sayonara.